Okay, Friday at noontime, or just about, and we're doing my favorite day of the week of topics, vices. And I'll introduce Greg Raffetto in a minute here, but let me just launch into the first one. There is an article about how most people arrested in 2008, according to this survey that the White House Drug Control Office did, that most of the people arrested have an illegal drug in their system. And it looks like when you read that, and you read the article, and it makes a bunch of linkages to crime, and they make a lot of statements about how we should fear drugs because they lead to crime, and how strong the correlation is to crime. So they say crime, crime, crime. I'm thinking, which crimes were they arrested for? Knowing that there's 800,000 marijuana possession arrests a year, that's got to be some percentage, or wouldn't they have factored that out? So here's where my rant comes in. I looked I went to the website, and I didn't find the actual arrests in there. I found that, say, 25% of the subjects had violent convictions in the past, but they didn't say whether the 2008 arrests were actually violent arrests. And they didn't say, they did say most of the arrestees had marijuana in their system. And knowing, now they didn't put this in the article, but that there's such a huge number of marijuana possession arrests, and then they didn't say what they were arrested about, I put two and two together and say, and I think this study was written to try to make people think that criminals, like thieves, assailants, rapists, etc., are more often high on drugs when they commit a crime than not. But because the report includes, I think the report is including possession arrestees, the study is deliberately misleading people to fear that most drug users are violent criminals or thieves or some other than drug crime. So I'm asking, isn't this kind of propaganda blatantly tyrannical, justifying an invasive police state as if every time they storm a house on suspicion of drug dealing, they're pretending to defend the public against violence? Isn't it like a Gestapo-like abuse of power, a pathetically ridiculous sham, which is nothing but an expansion of the police state on the pretense of valiantly trying to win the futile war on drugs? So if that's what's going on, isn't the whole White House Drug Office and DEA leadership, not the field agents, they're like soldiers to me, and the ATF leadership, again, not the agents, but as regards fighting the drug war, aren't they just a bunch of clowns in suits who send the jackboots to harass mostly non-violent citizens and claiming victories that are nothing but seizures of freedom that do more harm than good by incarcerating, stigmatizing, marginalizing young, often minority men? So when are we going to collectively declare that this stupid drug war is lost and legalize drugs and tell these jackbooted, dishonest moralists in suits to stop shitting all over the Constitution and either go fuck themselves or get a real job that increases freedom, not decreases it? And I'm tied up over this one. It's pissed me off because I'm almost dead sure that they're using marijuana arrest possessions to skew those numbers. Greg Raffetto, you studying law up there at Mammoth Lakes, getting ready for the bar. You've already got your degree. You've been involved. You've got great insight into the different vices and the futility of these prohibition policies. What did you make of this one? Did you draw that conclusion, or am I jumping too far?
Well, it seems to me that you can do just about anything with statistics, and they didn't say whether or not these drugs were prescription drugs, whether the people were actually supposed to be on them. For all we know, they're reporting people on Prozac.
Yeah, it certainly seems a little high. Don't you think of just anybody arrested happens to be, it's in some cities 60-70% or have illegal drugs in their system? Supposedly anybody arrested?
It's very high. It seems very high. I'm sure they're using completely manipulated statistics to show these above 50% percentages on all the drug use, and I'm not buying it.
It's terrible. I don't know what when you got that kind of misinformation and propaganda, I gotta just suspect the worst. That they're going to twist these numbers around, and they're going to try to demagogue everybody, make everybody fear drugs. That it's going to lead inevitably to violence and theft and rape and everything else, and it's just a cover for, again, the failed war on drugs. They try to declare these little victories and justify continuing to shake us down. Are you seeing that pattern?
Oh, absolutely. And don't be part of it. If you get pulled over and arrested, you have a right to say no for the drug tests, unless you've been involved in a vehicular manslaughter or vehicular injury crime. For the most part, when you're arrested, you have a right not to pee for them.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you're allowed to say no. Yeah, you ever notice that they a lot of times will start a question with, do you mind if? And yeah, we got to do this, but they don't tell you got a right to say no. So, my advice is if there's anything in your system that's going to show up, refuse to do a test.
Right.
So, and if you're arrested for DUI, you can blow a breathalyzer without revealing what else is in your body.
Yeah, interesting. So the breathalyzer is not going to reveal illegal drugs. It's only going to catch alcohol?
That's correct.
Okay.
But if you refuse altogether to do a test, you should be aware that if you are involved in a DUI, you're going to lose your license for a year.
Yeah.
But you're still allowed to refuse. And the onerous penalties for DUI, they're so bad, the penalties these days, that even on a first offense, you might consider just saying no to all of it and losing your license for a year, because you're going to lose it for up to 6 months anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Plus have the prosecution against you for the criminal act of DWI, and the amount of penalties that they put on you for the DUI is just so bad that you might consider just saying no altogether, taking your license lost for a year and leaving it at that, because that's a DUI, that's a Department of Motor Vehicles investigation, not a criminal investigation.
Right. And a related question, I don't know if you know this, but if they want to search your car, they have to have a probable cause, as far as I know.
Yes, they do.
So they have to see something that indicates that there's a crime in progress of some kind.
Yeah, that's why they all start off that is, do you mind if? Any question that starts off with, do you mind if, from a police officer, that means you've got the right to say no. And people are just all too often afraid to say no. And I just can't believe these people that get arrested with all kinds of stuff in their car when they had a right to say no to the search.
Right. Yeah. It's just a natural thing. You think you're in trouble and you just want to let them do whatever they want to do, thinking that it's going to help. But
yeah, it takes them a long time to get a warrant out there to search your car. And you can just say something to the effect of, "Hey, I got places to go, and yeah, I mind my personal liberty. So I'm not going to sit there and just bend over." And it feels like a mini rape, basically.
Yeah.
Not to marginalize people that have been raped, but that's the sort of invasion of privacy that they do to you, and it feels like you've been raped.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to say no.
Well, that's great.
If there's something in plain view, they don't have a right to search your car.
Well, that's great advice then. So it's on the search and on the drug and on the drug testing, so the urine drug testing. You can refuse that without repercussion, really. The breathalyzer is a different thing. There is repercussion for refusing that, but good advice on the drug testing.